Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're jumping into Genesis 23.
That's right.
Now, this chapter, it looks like a simple story about, well, buying a burial plot.
Seems that way on the surface.
But as we look through the sources, it's clear there's so much more going on. It's actually a really foundational moment for Israel's covenant history.
Absolutely. Full of spiritual weight, even messianic significance,
Yeah, exactly. So our mission today is kind of unpack why this is way more than just Abraham doing some real estate shopping.
It really is. Genesis 23, coming right after the Akedah, the binding of Isaac, it marks this huge shift for Abraham. The sources show him here not really dealing with kings or making grand pronouncements, but just, grieving. He's a mourner.
Right.
And yet this very personal act of buying a grave becomes this monumental thing, securing the first actual piece of the promised land. It's like a physical anchor for all of Yahweh's promises.
Okay, let's get into that. When I was first reading through the materials on Genesis 23, what really hit me was just the realness of Abraham's grief. I mean, here's this giant of faith, right? But the text just shows him mourning, weeping for Sarah. So human.
Yes.
And then there's that detail about Sarah's age, 127. It's so specific, like the text wants you to notice her importance. The matriarch. What struck you first?
Well, exactly that, but also how that deep personal loss immediately pivots into something with huge covenantal weight. That's what's fascinating.
Yeah.
It's not just finding a grave. It's Abraham, who the text calls a Odger and a Tosha, basically a foreigner, a temporary resident, making his very first permanent legal claim on the land Yahweh promised him. It's this incredible act of faith. Really sets the stage.
That contrast, personal grief and covenantal action, is really something.
Yeah.
So let's look at those first couple of verses. Genesis 23, verses 1 and 2.
Okay.
Sarah lives 127 years, and Abraham came to mourn for Sarah and to weep for her. It feels significant, doesn't it? That she's the only woman whose age at death is given so precisely in the Hebrew Bible.
It absolutely elevates her. Like you said, underlines her role as the matriarch of this whole promised line. It's not just Abraham's story.
Right.
And his response to mourn for Sarah and weep for her, it's so raw, so open. This isn't quiet grief. It's public mourning for the wife he's journeyed with for so long.
Yeah.
And that personal depth, it kind of grounds everything that comes next. The formal negotiation, the money, it's all happening because of this profound loss and love. It shows you the heart behind the history.
It really does. Then we shift from that private sorrow to Abraham's public identity. The text makes it clear, like you said, he's a foreigner, a shaker, and a sojourner, a tushab, living among the Hittites, which is key because Yahweh promised him all of Canaan, right? But at this point, like Stephen points out in Acts 7, Abraham literally owned not even a foot's length of it. He's basically got the deed to a country, but is still living like a nomad.
And that's why the purchase of this cave is so powerful. It's not just practical, it's this huge act of faith. Well, he's making a legal, permanent claim on his inheritance. By buying this small piece of land for Sarah's burial, Abraham is saying, loud and clear, I believe Yahweh, this land will be ours. Even though he can only see this tiny fraction of it right now. It actually shifts his status. He's not just passing through anymore, he's a landholder. Even if it's just this one cave and field, it's the down payment on Yahweh's promise.
Yeah.
Cementing that covenant from Genesis 17.
So it's Abraham planting a flag, literally, saying this is ours based on Yahweh's word, which takes us to that negotiation with Ephron at the city gate.
Right, the public square, where business got done.
And the sources call it a masterful display of ancient Near Eastern etiquette. It wasn't casual. This was formal, legal, with witnesses.
Exactly.
The Hittites even call Abraham a mighty prince. And Ephron starts with this big show of generosity. No, take the field and the cave. It's a gift.
Yeah, that was part of the dance. Typical Near Eastern bargaining. Offer it free to look good, knowing full well the buyer has to insist on paying to make it truly theirs, legally and permanently.
Okay, so it's expected.
Absolutely. And Abraham gets it. He plays his part with total integrity. He politely refuses the gift and insists, no, I will pay the full price, which ends up being 400 shekels of silver.
And that wasn't just about being polite, was it?
Not at all. It was crucial. By paying especially the full, maybe even inflated price, he ensures the ownership is absolute, undisputed. No one can come back later and say, oh, that was just a gift, we want it back, or you owe us for it. It sets a standard.
400 shekels, though. That sounds like a lot. Maybe even crazy expensive for just a burial cave.
It was a very significant sum. Some commentaries suggest Ephron might have been gouging him a bit.
Figures.
But Abraham, he pays it. No haggling recorded, just pays. Which speaks volumes about his commitment, doesn't it?
It really does. His focus is securing that piece of the promise.
Exactly. It ensures the claim is ironclad. His descendants won't owe any Canaanite for this first piece of their inheritance. And here's something fascinating the sources point out. That number, 400.
Yeah.
It might not be random. Remember Genesis 15, Yahweh tells Abraham his descendants will be afflicted for 400 years before they possess the land.
Wow. So the price itself might be a nod to that future suffering and eventual possession.
It's a strong possibility, a powerful numerical echo right in the middle of this transaction. And then the text is careful to say he weighed out the silver, current money among the merchants. Super specific. Finalizing the legal transfer. No loopholes.
That's incredible how these details just layer on meaning. Okay, let's shift to the messianic connections, because this focus on death, burial, the land, future hope, it really points towards Yeshua, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. It's rich with typology. First, think about the hope of resurrection.
Okay.
Why bury Sarah in Canaan, the promised land, instead of taking her back to Haran, his family's homeland? It's a profound statement of faith in Yahweh's future promises.
Right, he's banking on the future.
Exactly. Like the writer of Hebrews says, Abraham was looking for a city with foundations whose architect and builder is Elohim. He lived as a stranger, waiting for that permanent home.
Hebrews 11, yeah.
So, the cave of Machpelah, it's not just a tomb, it's like a physical anchor for that hope, a down payment on the eternal inheritance that Yeshua himself would secure through his own death and resurrection.
So Abraham's purchase is kind of like a declaration of faith and resurrection, not just for Sarah, but for everyone in the promise.
Precisely. And then there's the idea of the buried seed and the coming king.
What do you mean?
Well, Machpelah becomes the family tomb, right? Abraham, Sarah, Isaac, Rebekah, Jacob, Leah, they're all buried there.
The patriarchs and matriarchs.
Yes. It physically roots the lineage of the Messiah, the seed promised to Abraham directly in the promised land. This buried seed in the land becomes a powerful type of foreshadowing of Yeshua.
The ultimate seed of Abraham.
The one true seed, who was also buried in the ground in that land and then resurrected, conquering death and securing the eternal inheritance for everyone who trusts in him. Yeshua, their descendant, fulfills the promise tied to that very land, but infinitely expands it. King of Kings.
Wow.
And, briefly, this chapter also fits into that larger biblical pattern of suffering shepherds Abel, Jacob, Joseph. Their experiences of loss, exile, eventual restoration, they all point towards Yeshua's life, death, and resurrection too.
It's amazing how those patterns weave through all of Scripture, pointing to Messiah. Now, beyond those big themes, the sources also mention some, hidden details, little nuances.
Yeah, like the fact that Sarah is never actually called Sarah during the negotiation.
Oh, right. He just says, my dad or my wife.
It's subtle, but it keeps that deep personal grief right at the forefront. It reminds you why this very public legal transaction is happening. It's rooted in love and loss.
Keeps it human.
Exactly. And then there's the power of names and numbers we touched on. Hebron, where this happens, means fellowship or alliance. Beersheba, another place associated with Abraham, means well of the oath. Add that to the 400 shekels. It's like the text is layering hints about covenant, promise, and fellowship.
It's not just random geography or numbers.
Seems unlikely. And then there's that fascinating midrashic tradition, the Jewish commentary, that suggests Machpelah was actually the original burial place of Adam and Eve.
Whoa, really?
It's a tradition, but if you consider it, it adds another layer entirely. Abraham isn't just buying a grave. He's reclaiming, in a sense, humanity's original resting place. A down payment on the new creation.
That's profound.
It really makes you think of Yeshua's words in John 14, I go to prepare a place for you. It's the ultimate fulfillment of Abraham's search for that lasting home, that city built by Elohim. Not just a piece of land, but an eternal dwelling.
This whole deep dive, it brings out so many timeless lessons from Genesis 23. First, that idea of trusting in a greater hope. Abraham buries Sarah in Canaan, acting on a promise he can't fully see yet. It's a powerful reminder for us, right, to live by faith, not just by what's right in front of us. Our real hope isn't ultimately in earthly things, but in that heavenly country, that city Elohim is building.
And also, honoring the covenant through integrity. Abraham's dealings with the Hittites. He's so careful, so honest, even when they're maybe trying to pull a fast one with the price.
Yeah.
It's a direct model for how we should handle our own affairs, our business, our interactions. with honesty and integrity that reflects Yahweh's character, being a good witness.
Absolutely. And maybe finally, the cost of the promise.
Yeah.
Abraham paid that huge price without hesitation.
Mm-hmm.
It teaches us something important, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
That pursuing Yahweh's promises, building his kingdom, it often requires a real investment from us, our faith, our resources, our trust. It challenges you, the listener. What are you willing to invest, maybe even sacrifice, to lay hold of Yahweh's promises for your life and for the future?
That's a really searching question. And maybe that leads to one last provocative thought for you to chew on this week. Think about the solemn, careful, legal way Abraham secured this first piece of land at the city gate. How does that contrast with Lot's choices back in Sodom? Choices that seemed easier or more immediately beneficial, but were fleeting and compromised. What does Abraham's approach teach us about building something that truly lasts in Yahweh's eyes?
That's a great comparison to reflect on. Wow, what a rich chapter Genesis 23 turns out to be. From Abraham's very real grief, his integrity, all the way to this incredible messianic hope woven into buying a cave.
It really comes alive when you dig into it. We really hope this encourages you to keep doing your own deep dives into the Word, always connecting the Tanakh, the Hebrew Bible, with the Brit Chadashah, the New Testament. The connections are everywhere.
They really are. Well, please join us next time as we continue our chapter-by-chapter journey. As we wrap up today's study, let's pause and reflect on what we've learned and receive the blessings of Yahweh.